Okay, sorry for the delay. Priyanshi, you can explain your project. I am putting on the screen mode here. And I also have your presentation. Which one you want to take?
I can take the presentation.
Okay, okay. Yeah. You can share
So,
your screen if you want. So that,
okay, sure.
no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Sandeep is also here. We can finalize.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Congrats. I think you have been continuously getting great performance awards from Optiv. Every month I can see.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. So good morning. Starting off with my project, I have put in a few information here, though this is not exhaustive. It could have a lot of more ideas going into it, but as what I have in mind, so coming from a SOC background, what I see every day and looking at my daily work, this is what I thought I could do. So, as an introduction and background information that I have mentioned here, a lot of security intelligence companies they provide us with tools that notify us of malicious IPs, URLs, or domains. So, for an example, FireEye and Splunk, all of these generate an alert that alerts us on tools like Swimlane, ServiceNow, etc. And it notifies us with the malicious IP, URL, domain, or multiple kind of IOCs. Now, we as engineers, we analyze it, plan it, get ready by adding these information to the perimeter security system of the infrastructure to stop any kind of danger that or anything that could impact the organization. So all of these analysis part is actually very time consuming if we look at every alert that is being generated in most of the organizations. And hence, I think that there's a need to develop a solution that performs this analysis of all the open source, all the open tools that we use on our day-to-day activity to analyze these kind of IOCs. And once this analysis take place, we also document what each tool is stating, starting from virus total, URL scan, IO, what is the result that these tools are giving is what we document, and based on that we give a verdict that it's true positive, false positive, or whether the IP is malicious, not malicious, etc. So moving on, I'm looking at that, and the problem statement that I've stated here is analysis of IOC is a laborious process, so it leads to a lot of backlogs over time and chances of human error here. Looking at the diagram here, we are actually targeting the tactical threat intelligence, that is IP address, domain name, URL, file hashes as some part of IOCs. And why is the right analysis important? Is because a wrong judgment, if there's a malicious IP and we state that it's not malicious, could actually lead to a major cyber attack. It could be a data loss. It could create any kind of cyber attack into the organization that would cost a lot of money to the organization and also its reputation, and could result in job loss as well. So that is the whole idea of this, to have an automated solution that actually picks out all the result uh, from all the IOC judgment under a minute, and gives you the ability to download that document and just upload it and close your ticket, and just give a verdict of it, whether it is true positive, false positive. If it is true positive, the solution could also suggest what is the next step. If the URL, for example, is malicious, the tool would also suggest that the next step should be that we block the URL. Or if the file hash is malicious, the tool would suggest that you can quarantine the file, or you should be removing the file from the host system. So this is what it is. And on the side, there's a diagram that talks about the OSINT framework. There are multiple kind. For example, if we look at the IP address, there are a lot of things that go into IP address reputation check. Similarly, URL, similarly, domains and file hashes. So that is what I have put in the proposed solution. And here's a diagram that I have tried to make. If you look at the flowchart, starting with in SOC environment, an alert is generated, and we pick the IOC from the generated alert. As today's practice, what we do is we open multiple OSINT tool, feed IOC in each of it, wait for the result, document each result, give a verdict, and take a decision and process it. However, with this one-stop shop solution that I'm aiming at, we would just pick the IOC, put it in the one-stop shop, and we would have the documentation ready, we would have the verdict ready. We just need to download the tool, download the documentation, and process it. So it would contain all the results from say 10 to 15 different OSINT that we would be aiming at, and based on that, we'll also have suggested step and a verdict that is generated. And again, this verdict logic is not exhaustive. We can have multiple kind of verdict logics that can be written based on the requirement. As of now, what I have put here is that we would pick these results. For example, in the screenshot from URL scan IO, we see that a blacklist is the word that is there. A virus total says malicious. So we would anyway be picking all of this for our documentation. We would count these kind of words: malicious, blacklisted, phishing, suspicious, and generate a count matrix of that. And the highest counted word would be considered as the verdict. So if there are, say, out of 10, there are 5 websites that say malicious, and two says blacklisted. So we pick that as malicious, and it would highlight that particular keyword and state it as true positive. But if none of the above keywords, malicious, suspicious, blacklisted, phishing, etc., are found, it would highlight that as clean IOC and state it as false positive. Again, we could have multiple solutions based on the requirement. There are few organizations that consider certain websites, certain OSINT as their highest weightage. So we could use that logic as well into the solution, that if this particular website says that it's malicious, irrespective of what other website says, it has to be considered as malicious. But every organization functions differently, so this verdict logic can be anything according to the organization's requirement. As of now, in this particular solution, I am just keeping this as the logic. So this is the whole idea behind the IOC analysis that I am thinking of right now.
Okay, so few inputs from our end. I mean, especially on the academic, when you are proposing something, what is the current solutions available? The literature review is completely missing. You must add, and that we have discussed multiple times. You can't say that nothing is available. There are
So
so many.
I
Yeah,
have put that in the abstract. I've put 2 papers. However, there are solutions available, but they are all having, vulnerability scannings. It gives you the vulnerability available. There's Spiderfoot. There are multiple tools that are available. I did read about it, but this solution is very, very specific to uh, our everyday IOC analysis work. It is not doing a lot of things. It is just doing a very basic analysis of that particular fed IOC. By IOC, I mean IPs, URLs, domain, and file hash. And this is just making the work easy for a SOC analyst to document everything that we do it manually on our regular day-to-day work. So this tool is very specific to just pulling the data of all other available tools and putting it all together under one roof and giving a verdict for that. So it is making the manual work less. That's the only thing. It is not doing any vulnerability scanning. It is not doing any sort of scans or any of that.
What is the title of the project?
I have put it as analysis of IOC, automated solution for IOC analysis using OSINT. It
Yeah,
is
okay.
only IOC analysis.
Yeah, okay. I think it's not put in the, no,
Yeah,
the
on the PPT. Yeah,
PPT, and it's, is it there in the Word
abstract.
document?
It's yeah, yeah. I'm presenting the Word document as well.
Okay. And how are you going to build this engine? See, in our understanding from the analytics background, there are
Mhm.
so much of things you can do using text analytics, because this is, as you mentioned, that there could be a term frequency
Yeah.
counter or a count vectors. These are text analytics kind of applications using AI/ML solutions. So if you have all these previous attacks, IOCs, and already been labeled data is coming in, that these were the IPs, these were the hashes, and all
Correct.
that gets captured in a system. And then you apply your machine learning algorithms, NLP especially, and see what is the probability of this being a malicious one. So
Uh,
I don't see, because that is why your
no,
literature review. Huh.
I am not looking at building a database of all of the already done this thing. So it would be, I can say real time as such. So when I feed an IOC, say google.com, and I click on analyze, at that particular point, it would call all the APIs of all these open tools and pull the data that is on that day, because these like virus total everything, it's a community tool, and people keep updating it. It could be that today it shows clean, but tomorrow it could show malicious because somebody has reported that as malicious. So we are not taking any previous data. It is going to be at that particular point in time when we are analyzing what is the tool showing. If there are 10 different tools that we are looking at, bright cloud, the hybrid analysis, everything, what is their judgment on that particular day, and that we'll be pulling, and that would give the result.
Okay, so I think it's a kind of a automated tool that you would extract
Yes.
these details from these 3 4 sources, right? Have you defined all that sources, right? See, at the end
Yes.
of it, why are we using AIML? Maybe in the second phase of this project, uh,
Right.
one is rule-based systems that you are
Hmm.
making, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
next time you are going to create a predictive model, right? That is where the
Okay.
power of
Hmm.
AI
Hmm.
comes in.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Right.
definitely the first phase could be a rule-based automated system, which is
Hmm.
great. But once you have enough data patterns, you must be able to, without spending any effort
Right.
on the
Right.
automation engine, you must be able to
Hmm.
predict, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
Sandeep is the expert on SOC. I'm sure he has his own inputs.
Hey, hi, Priyanshi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Sandeep.
Right. Hey, it's a good thought, develop a solution around it. First thing is like, why do you think this is not today currently available in the existing SOC solutions, be it an XDR platform or the analytics, security analytics platform? Why do you think this is not available? Don't you think the analysts do have the existing engine within these platforms to perform all these activities and also curate these feeds which you're mentioning, right?
Right. So the thing is that everybody, at least in my knowledge and the work that I am also doing every day, we go onto all of these websites and pull data from there, document it, and do all of this by ourselves. Like if there are 10, say, virus total, URL scan, IO, hybrid analysis, bright cloud, all of this, we go onto each tool, we feed the IOC, we pull the result, we put it in a Word doc or however we are doing it, and then we would document that into our SOC generated alert, swim lane or ServiceNow. So we are documenting all of this, we are typing it down, or we are copy pasting all of that. Uh, I'm sure that there's nothing where we put in the IOC and all of these tools ka result is coming into one place. So the whole motive of this is to reduce all of this time that we go onto each tool, put in the IOC, pull the data, put it in a Word doc, and then put it on, as a SOC analyst, put our analysis on the comment field of that particular swim lane or a ServiceNow ticket. So this tool, what I'm aiming at, would do all of this for me, and I'll just have to put that particular document into the swim lane or ServiceNow ticket.
Okay, let's say you take these information,
Mm-hmm.
you add it to the ServiceNow help desk or the incident management tool.
Mm-hmm.
What next? How would you context to the events in your SOC? I mean, you got the information, you curated the data, you got what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. What next from there on?
So once again, if I have to come back, how I work today, how I function in my organization is that when all of this data I get, I put it into our tool. If it is a false positive, this tool, the one that I'm aiming at building, would also suggest probably, that the URL needs to be blocked, or the file hash needs to be removed. Now there are organizations that have different teams for this. So if I know that my IOC is malicious, I know the next step is to send it to the proxy team to block this IOC. So when I have everything in, say, less than a minute, I know that okay, I need to send it to proxy team to block it. And this reduces a lot of time that goes into doing all the other stuff just to let the proxy team know that this is malicious. So the next step would
Okay,
be
I want to interrupt you here. What is an
yeah,
IOC?
indicator of compromise.
Okay. When is an IOC an indicator of compromise for an organization?
Whenever there's suspicious, or there's a thing that hits your environment, it would generate an alert. So that is the thing that comes into for analysis.
You are right there. Now,
Yeah.
what I see, these are two separate pieces to the puzzle. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
One is if you want an indicator of compromise based on
mm-hmm,
the behavior pattern, which is a malicious behavior pattern within your organization,
mm-hmm,
the information that you're curating has to context to that information. For example, I see an activity on my endpoint, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, that is a malicious activity. It could be a malware download, it could be a CNC connection, right?
Correct.
Now, that CNC connection is to one of the malicious IP on the internet. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Now, here your ISC sees that independently, and your endpoint detection solutions, of which is your EDRs or EPP, sees that independently. Correct?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How are you going to bridge the two? You see, this platform or the solution that you're going to build will only make sense when you look at the indicators within your environment, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Or say, for example, you are looking at a attack surface outside of your organization with the internet, but you still have to align it to the activities or uh, some malicious content of your organization, right?
Right,
Otherwise, it's
right,
going to see it as a huge dump of indicators and you do nothing with it.
right, right. No, that's a valid point. So, we do check on multiple tools, but again, those are tools that we have subscription to, like Splunk, to check the logs on Splunk, or could be FireEye, or could be
Okay, so
PBS, or anything.
my suggestion to you is, it's a great project. My suggestion is, until you don't consume these feeds or until you don't consume these IOCs onto your platform, which is your perimeter security devices like your firewalls, your SIM solutions, your EDRs, your EPPs, your proxies, right? This independently, at some point, even if you're using in your organization, I mean, the effectiveness of this tool is not going to be many. Okay. So
Mhm.
find a way to context this information back to the data which you are already collating through your SIM and the other solutions. That is where you will see this tool succeeding.
Mhm.
Does it
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, this is going to be a dump of a lot of IOCs, and you will take it like an advisory. You will send it to everybody. People will look into it. There's a document, then do nothing. If you want to solve the problem of the analyst, if you want to reduce their SLA time period of analyzing any incident, then you have to context this information into those systems which the analysts are currently holding or using.
Okay.
So I think moral of the story, you can go ahead. Some bit of puzzles are missing. You need to have a little larger understanding than the current job you do, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, problem statement is kind of clear. A problem is there. I don't think any single tool
Problem is
can.
their usage and effectiveness of this solution has to be worked out. How you're going to consume it.
Can you integrate this to your SIM or any other ingestion?
Yeah, you can your output should be in some CEF format, or even it could be CVE, which can be taken as input, right? 6 taxi, if you can bring that. I mean, anyway, your OSNet and other platforms gives you in that format only, right? You can bring it on a GRC tool. You can do a remediation there. You can do a risk management. This can be used in multiple ways. Priyanshi. You have a good start, but then you are stopping it. You're saying, okay, I will only run 100 meters. Out of that, I'm going to run 50 meters. Rest 50 meters, I don't want to run. Right? So there's no point you winning that 50 meters.
Right. I understand. Yeah.
So add the right literature review, automated solution for IOC analysis using OSINT, one-stop shop and all that. Please don't claim because this is a project, academic project, right? So yeah, building an automated solution using OSINT. We'll stop that, but phase wise, maybe we can think. So you have access to everything, right? You don't need no, you just need some sample IOCs, and you have the expertise to build at least the first level of whether it's
Right.
a working model, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, so
Thanks.
I'm just putting that. Sorry. So other holistic solutioning with with how the last mile usage, right? Whatever that last.
Yeah. That I can divide into two phases and then build over it and make it more efficient.
Literature review must be, because if you talk only from your point of view, Viva panel comes from various perspectives, right? That's why you should say that this is the current set of solutions. This is how the industry looks like. This is the academic research in this area. And don't, again, I keep saying, don't underestimate research in journals.
Right.
Yes, so much has already been done. And so literature review must be must have at least 10 papers, 10 journal papers, not some white papers and all that. That's all additional, right? So because you have to slowly plan about your publication also. So don't
Right.
have only today's view, but also you must have the later, if there is a patentability. Have you searched for Google patent on
Not yet.
this? Yeah.
Not
So look at no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what else is been mentioned? Yeah. So this is resubmission is there, but you are through, right?
Okay.
I'm just putting minor revision.
Okay. Sure.
And I'm also adding that look at phase one with phase one
Mhm.
automating with AI. That is a very powerful way of looking at it, right? Automating with AI, especially the NLP part of it. You have to read up.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Okay. Arvind, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Word
Uh,
document is missing.
uh, yes, ma'am. I'll just update it, ma'am. Ma'am, I resubmitted, ma'am. I have just minimized the presentations, and then whatever the exact what you told last week, those things I have minimized it and submitted. Maybe I can just present it, ma'am. If you...
Okay. Yeah. I have not been sharing my screen. I didn't realize. So
Okay, okay.
Priyanshi, the review has come in your portal, your LMS. You can check.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Ganesh, you can share.
Okay, ma'am.
Arvind,
Fine,
yeah,
fine,
you
fine,
can
fine.
share.
Sure.
It has to be very crisp. I think last time also we discussed the same. The scope has to be defined. If you have 1 month time, what will you do? If you have 3 months time, what will you do? Right? It's number of hours and your skills and efficiency. You can go on telling that it's a 6 month project.
Okay,
So
okay, fine. Yeah, just a minute, ma'am. Actually, I'm facing some issues, ma'am. Just a minute. Ma'am, if you have Rajiv's thing, maybe shall I present it at last, ma'am? Because I have to shift
okay,
it to
no
other
problem.
laptop again. Have hanging problem.
Okay, no problem. Sure. So Rajiv, you can see my screen.
Sure. Can I uh, show the presentation on my screen?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead. I'm just opening.
Sure. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So well, the idea, the capstone in the capstone project, I have selected I have selected a project to analyze the IP address, basically the malicious IP address, which is hitting to the perimeter firewalls, and it gives more information about the IP and the IP reputation to the resource, and based on that, they can take the judgment and will take the decision to allow or deny. So in our previous discussion, I had selected the similar approach like the Priyanshi just now explained, create an automation tool, but that has been narrowed down to a specific thing, just to identify the malicious IP using the machine learning, and based on that the reso will take the decision what is the IP reputation, from which country it is coming, how frequently the IP address is moving from one country to the other country, because as on date, the IP address which is hosted and which is served onto the Azure cloud, all every seconds, uh, those are moving from one domain to other domain. The customers, they are buying the same IP address again and again, and it is very difficult for them and us to take the decision whether should we allow them to access our application or not. So basically, this all idea is related to a real time the attack which we basically the encountered in 2020 during the COVID. So that's the reason I have taken basically this Capstone project completely on the real time project, real time the attack scenarios. So we had one internal applications which was hosted in the DMC, and the attacker was using from the Azure, from different region, Ukraine and the Russia and the Germany. So they all were using the multiple IP address, and they were attacking our web applications. So also it was hanging our firewall because the continuously the sync snack packet it was hitting, and it was very difficult for us to identify is that the legitimate IP address or that is something a malicious IP address. And the similar log, the firewall, this is the source log collector, and the log collector was sending the information to the SIM, and the SIM tool was also unable to identify because the product which we had, that was the paid tool, and the paid tool, it was taking time to identify the IP address is the malicious or basically it is a legitimate, because they are also taking time to analyze the IP, and based on that they are taking the decision update the IP address in the thread feed or not. So here is the basically the background of this project. And coming on to the like the problem statement, it is yes. So what happens if an organization is under attack? How he will come to know that the IP address is a malicious IP address or it is a legitimate IP address? Because if the client is connecting, uh, the reason is if the client is connecting over the open internet, then maybe the chances are very high that his session is getting hijacked or his session is getting spoofed. And on behalf of the legitimate user, the someone is trying to keep sending the packet to our application server. So here is also a biggest problem. Now, the proposed solution is I'll build one IP analysis tool. This will be completely based on the open source threat intelligence, and it will fetch basically the multiple thread feed and the framework which is going to use the OS open source INT framework, and it will fetch only the IP related informations like the IP, how long the IP address is live, and when the IP address was released to that organization, how long basically it is assigned to the autonomous system number, basically when the route published onto the internet, and what is the IP active time, basically the when the IP address is getting announced onto the internet. So when the IP address basically it was active on under the BGP part. So those things, those feed it will pull up from the open source feed, and then it will provide that information to our internal tool, which is the IP analysis tool. And based on that, we will take the judgment that whether are we good to allow or deny the access. And detailed scope of work is, so I already have the firewall, which is a log collector. So from here, the data will get collected, and then the data will store into the either into the SIM or either into the syslog server, and that data we will use for the classification. And once the classification happens based on the IP count or the predict, basically the ML algorithm, we'll come to know that only specific IP addresses keep hitting to our web application, like the multiple times, or is there any time pattern? And based on that, we'll take the decision to again allow or deny the access. So basically, the framework and the project is completely defined to identify the malicious IP and identify the IP reputation to deny the access for an organization, because the organization is also like it is very difficult for them to analyze, and they also have to maintain their reputation in the market, because if the customer knows that the organization which they are trusting and that organization is under attack, the customer will also lose their the customer will basically lose their confidence. Should we use that organization application, or should we move to somewhere else?
Can you come down? Is there a sample data? Because what is your input? Only IP, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Only IP, and you classify into a malicious benign. I think there are enough papers around it, right? Or at
Uh,
least
there are enough papers, but they all are used saying that the malicious IP detection using machine learning. But few papers they are saying about IP reputation,
can you
because
share a
malicious.
can you share a paper? I think last time also we discussed. Can you share? And the citation and all is not run correctly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was trying
Can,
to update the citation, but I thought to talk to you on that, how to do that. So
so
well, in the
please.
last time, well, the paper was pending that you something need with the code. So this time I have identified one of like this model of the IP address assignment and its duration, because when the IP address is moving from one organization to other organization, that is also considering that is it like the attack or is this the legitimate, because the organizations matter a lot. And here is the geographic location basically, and the code.
Where is the sample data is there?
Sample data, I mean, sample data in this, they are using direct from the open source.
Yeah. Do you have that access? Because you
N-
also need to know in firewall what is that you should collect.
no, I do not have that open source data, but the project which I will build, it will be based on the real-time data. So that I'll compare with over here. But the data which is available on the open source, so it says like the probability of IP address surviving is long lifetime value, approx 200 days. That so this information is coming from the service provider. When any IP address they are announcing, they're maintaining the uptime and the IP reachability time in their routing table as well. From there, I'll pull those informations.
So not seen the input data if it is not labeled, you cannot perform machine learning, you know, right? Machine learning only works if you have past data and past patterns.
So uh,
Label
on
data
to
is very important.
label data, as I said, I need to prepare the label data, because once I have the raw data from the firewall, that is something like that will be a part of this project to do the classification and label the data, and outcome of the label data predict that what is the reputation of that IP.
Yeah, Priyanshi is covering other IOCs, not just IP. Here it is, yeah, this is the doing this is good, definitely. But I am just wondering that if you don't have the clarity on what data, the label data and all that, it is going to kind of consume a lot of energy to understand how.
Your data from the firewall is
As it will come as malign, right? Output is there, right?
Yeah,
Output has been coming, right? Then it is good. So
I mean, if I use the label data, then how basically,
any
well, in
new IP which comes in, it automatically classifies and gives based on the algorithm. That
correct,
is what machine learning would do, right? So you already
right?
have the past patterns. Now you have
Yeah,
to train the model to ensure that you have better and better classification accuracy.
exactly. So the past data I will pull out from the either from the SIM tool, or we already have the firewall. So as I said that I will directly download the real-time data, because now the attack pattern and the IP addresses keep changing. So it will be basically the complete confusion for the machine learning to identify the IP addresses moving around the world. Like the IP address today, it is in West Europe. Tomorrow, it will move to the East Europe, like that.
So that also has to be captured.
Yeah.
So location, lat long, all that also comes right in your data.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Maybe a sample data, please keep it in mind, but otherwise we can go ahead with this project. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sharing my screen. So Rajiv is good to go. Uh, I think we had submitted something, narrow down the scope into one use case. Okay, I think. Okay. Would,
retain those comments.
we can retain. I'll not save. Yeah. First review was on what was the date? 7th, 6th.
Sixth.
capture more data fields, right? So check for
Sure.
more variables, not just on the IP. Check
No,
for.
sure, ma'am. It will identify each and everything from the IP thread feed, which will basically help for the resource and for the cybersecurity engineers to take a quick decision.
You can even write to the journal papers. If you find that some papers have done extremely well, then you can write to them, the authors, right? They'll be happy to help.
Sure.
I think it's good to go. Okay.
Thank you.
Arvind or anyone else? Because we don't have time. You can't think so much. Just do it. Nike's it is. Just do it.
Ma'am, actually, the problem is that I'm using my company laptop. Sharing screen is not coming, ma'am. Actually, for me, that option is not enabled.
I can share the screen if you send me the details. If you share
Okay.
me as something, then I can share.
No. In that itself, that presentation is there. That only I want to share it.
Okay. Ranajit, have you brought down the scope? I think you have already kind of through, but is there any update from your end?
Not today, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm
Are you
starting
work-
on the open source.
Okay.
Starting with the open source data generation, right?
Yes.
Not
Okay.
yet at ML site.
Okay. Any update with Sabi? Because Sabi has taken a different route now. He went on hold. Sriram? Naveen? We have to close. We will not have time. Okay, that's all. Sudarshan, you want to present? Yes. Send your presentations in the Teams. We can present. Sriram, anything? Have you spoken? Can you put a message in the Karthik that whose submissions are approved or under review and the people who have not submitted at all, right? In the CS06 list. 6 list. Send it in the interns group and then send it in the CS06 WhatsApp group.
Ma'am, I have just shared you chat actually.
Where?
In the chat, I have sent you, ma'am.
Here, this one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is some Bosch thing is coming.
Oh, sorry. Maybe.
I cannot download.
Okay, ma'am. Just. Or else in our Riva portal itself, I have uploaded, ma'am. Actually, the same thing only. The resubmission I have submitted. The same thing only you have to present it.
Okay.
Yes.
17. You are not following the basic rules, sir. You see, Priyanshi's 7 slides.
Okay,
You
okay,
have
ma'am.
to
No,
cut
ma'am.
down. You have to cut down.
Yes.
There is some basic information. What is the background and what's the problem? What's the solution? How does this whole scope or high level diagram looks like? And uh, what is the literature review? That's all. Nothing much
Okay.
in the proposal stage.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Fine, fine.
All
So,
these things are absolutely not required.
not okay. Okay, ma'am. No, the main standards which I'm.
No. All that. See, in a Viva also don't define and don't talk anything about, because all the mentors or the Viva panelists are already from this background, right? You have to come to the
Yes.
point.
Okay, okay.
Still not getting what is the problem statement.
No, the main problem statement is I'm just going to do a risk assessment analysis initial as a capstone one. So based on IEC 62443 standards, I'm going to do risk assessment. For risk assessment, we are following certain steps. And once completion of risk assessment, we are going to give recommendation to the company and what are the things they can implement it based on IEC 62443 standards. And this is the total system architecture based on the levels.
Let me stop
Yeah.
you. Let me stop you again. Have you seen how Priyanshi presented?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a single slide on problem statement. You are again coming back and giving a it's good as a lecture on SCADA systems or OT systems. This is a lecture. Means it's a
Okay.
session. What we want is what is that exactly? You as you mentioned, risk assessment framework for building. That is your problem statement.
Correct, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is some standards you are putting. This is standard. This is standard. This is procedure. This
No,
is
this is the risk assessment steps, ma'am. What are the steps I'm going to follow? First, for example, if you go to the 11th slide, 11th, ma'am. So in that first organization of security committee, first we have to identify the assets, whatever the plant. Then whatever we have to identify the evaluation and threats. Then we have to identify the evaluation vulnerability. Then we'll be doing it risk assessment. Then the design and implementation phase will come, implementation measures. Then the continuous monitoring and reviewing. This is the process, design implementation measures which we are going to follow.
okay. This slide is acceptable. You have to put it as kind of a scope of my project, right? That is
Yes, ma'am.
understood. Okay. And
Okay,
then,
okay.
so it's more of a whatever the asset that you are getting from the company, you are going to do that, this assessment. Is that all based on that
Yes, ma'am.
particular framework? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then everything
Yes.
else has to be removed. We don't
Okay,
need
okay,
to
ma'am.
see all these things you can put in your main report. When you write the
Okay,
report,
okay.
you can write, but not
Okay,
at the
ma'am.
proposal stage, right?
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah,
And in
again,
13th slide alone, just I will explain, ma'am. 1 minute. The 13th slide alone.
Hmm.
So here, how we are segregating. So after doing risk assessment, we will be designing the new architecture. So how we will be segregating the new.
Some lag.
Okay. Yeah, how we'll be segregating the new architecture in the sense based on the Purdue reference model only we are going to segregate it. So if you see in the Purdue reference model, then the level 0, all the field instruments whichever there in the sensors, flow valves, everything will be there in the level 0. In the level 1, controller level, for example, DCS, PLCs, everything will be there in the controller level. In the level 2, machine process automation level will be there. For example, whatever there in the controllers, DCS or PLCs, those main engineering stations will be there in the level 2. In the level 3, whatever the solutions which we are providing, for example, active directory we are giving suggestion, then WSS, backup servers, those things will be there in the level 3. In the level 4, ERP, MES systems, all those things will be there in the plant ERP systems. In the level 5, all the business system for corporate users, everything will be there in the level 5. So based on this Purdue reference model only, we are going to segregate the architecture. Previously, it is not a segregation. It was mixed up was there. So right now, based on IEC 62443 Purdue reference model, we are going to segregate the architecture. Yep.
Because again, you have to resubmit, no? I think Arvind, you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to keep only a part of it and then resubmit and write also as a Because I'm not very sure whether you will get to see from level 0 to level 5 in any one system.
Is it going to
This looks like a consulting project.
this whole concept, or it's just going to be on paper?
One single company's sample department or whatever that you are taking, will you get access to level 0 to level 5 is a question.
Ma'am, actually, last time when we were in the meeting, Manasi ma'am was telling that in the first capstone you'll be doing risk assessment. In the second capstone you'll be implementing that using the consultant will be there. So you will be based on your inputs and consultant inputs. You'll be implementing all those activities in the capstone too, like that she was telling, ma'am. So that is the reason I just want to.
Apollo's CISO. So, okay, if what is the plan B?
Ma'am, plan B in the sense I have to check with Sandeep sir only. His company any projects is available.
He is ready to send you to some place also.
Yes, ma'am. I'm happy to go in weekends, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, weekend he says he can travel anywhere.
Implementing this of OT environment.
Yeah, you have taken one project which is IoT. Yeah, that's what I would also suggest.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there are multiple people get involved, no? It's not Arvind going around and getting access to every system in the place. It's multiple scattered physically, no, physically scattered systems. How will
Yes,
you do this in weekends and all? You'll run, go in a buggy or something, run around in the campus?
No, ma'am. If you because in the plant there will be many environments will be there, ma'am. Many units, sub-units will be there. So if you give me one unit, I can able to complete it on weekends. It won't take much time.
Kind of a UI format so that when we go to client, we can give you
That's a very good idea. Can you create a dummy UI, dummy project?
Dummy. Okay, ma'am.
That could be, but Sandeep, you can kind of come and, yeah, I think that will be very useful for the industry. Because nobody has a proper framework kind of a, product.
See, we understand the framework. Okay, now you've also incorporated some standards which is available, right? The problem for you is to implement this, and it's not going to be
Correct.
easy.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, true, sir.
the risk management approach, if you bring it in some kind of a representable UI, right? At least we can start talking to clients and we can show them, right? You give us input in certain format without, I mean, not considering these data points, right? At least some areas, let's say from a sensor point of view, from a control or HMI point of view, you start picking up some information, right? If like around how it is configured, does it have any access on the IT side, network side? So these are the questionnaires which you could put up, right? And then you can come up with the risk score. Okay.
Okay,
then you
okay.
give a remedial advisory, right? So some approach which is UI driven, at least you will have a start point, phase 1.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Then you go to phase 2, actually implementing those, and then rechecking the effectiveness of it.
Okay, sir.
Is your risk better? Your score is better, right? So if you can bring that in some kind of UI format,
Okay,
you
sir.
have a start point to customers with customers.
Okay.
And your project also, I mean, there will be inputs. You will have a mentor working with you, right?
Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
And the Viva panelists will be okay, because otherwise, what somebody will think, I mean, we understand you put in a lot of efforts, but what somebody would think, like if we are still part of this exercise, we know what you've done. But you go to the panel, they will say, oh, these standards are available. What you're doing is you're trying to explain that standards to the panelists, right?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
That is all.
So, for example, normally we'll be offering 7 services, sir. For example, if you take switching and routing firewall services, means how we are going to configure those screenshot steps, everything you are asking me to add step by step. Similarly, for example,
take the evidence. One is you actually access it and then review. That is one.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
you're sending a questionnaire. Okay, is it configured in such and such way? Do you have segregations? You have role-based access privileges? All that you're going to ask.
Correct, sir.
Right?
But I can
And you
able
take
to
the
attach this
evidences.
screenshot. Evidence means screenshots I can able to present it, sir. For example, Active Directory means these are the steps we are going to follow, and these are the user access we are going to give.
That's what I would see as success with your project.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
What
Sir, but in that
happens-
7 services are there. So if I want to explain all the 7 services means it will be I can able to do it, sir. No issues for me. But
You take one or two.
documentation, yeah, 1 or 2 services you are asking me to do. For example, switching and routing services or Active Directory or OS patch management. Ma'am, can you please commit to 15th slide, ma'am? Yeah, 15th slide. Yeah, these are the main services we are going to offer, sir, after the risk assessment part. So we are just switching and routing firewall services, antivirus management services, OS patch management service, Active Directory service, remote access facility means here what are the software we are going to use it. So in that part I can make it as a document and step by step screenshot I can able to attach it, sir. In NMS, what are the things we are going to do? What are the software we are going to do? And manually how the configuration we are going to follow.
You're mixing things. These services you're offering, this is part of your NOC or FN or facility management services that you offer, right? Now, how is this coming into your risk management part? This is only a remediation that you will engage with the client, right?
Correct,
what is the
sir.
relevance
Yeah.
of this?
No, after the risk assessment part, we are going to implement it. This we are going to give solution to the customer, sir. Once they approve, we are going to implement it.
You are going to help them remediate it, in short.
Yes, sir.
Again, I would go back to understand from a risk point of view. These are steps that you're going to follow, right?
Correct, sir. Yes, sir.
Again, see, patching an OT network is not that easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Active Directory is still fine. You can. NMS and all are solutions, right?
Correct, sir. Yes, sir. So I can take 2 things as well: switching and routing firewall services and antivirus. Active Directory services. Those two things I can able to present it to you, sir. So what are the things we are going to do?
Are you going to automate with the same platform, or you're going to do this as an independent services?
No, independent services I'm going to present it. What are the steps will be involved it, and with screenshots I will be implementing it. So in the switch matlab, what are the things we are going to do? So the other person can able.
Point of view, I don't think you need to bring this. This is only remedial services that you're going to offer.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I would like to stick to only the risk management part. This is the output of this, right? Of risk management, right? You're expecting the client to perform these activities and you're going to offer it as a service to them, correct?
Correct, sir. Yes, sir.
You want to bundle it.
Are you audible? Naveen has
Yes.
something. 1 second. Naveen, can you speak up?
Yes. Am I audible, Naveen?
Not through the Teams.
What's your question? He's asking to the architecture. I think you showed the architecture. Yeah. Here is architecture. Here's standard. Good.
Yeah, it is very generic actually. Some may apply, some may not apply. See, they may be using PLC or DCS, but they may not be using ERP or NGS. So many things matters here. So for auditing, you should know the architecture.
But if you're creating a UI based product for them to submit and then get a risk assessment report or something, I mean, is it based on one simple?
So there are 2 ways you do it. Okay. One is, see, when you're auditor, you only ask questions. They will provide you results as evidences, which you capture in your tool. Some people in the older days used to use an Excel and put it. and then you used to give the risk score to it.
Yes.
Right? Nowadays, what we do is we actually take an access to this, use a solution, like the current GRC solution can actually pull the information from those control lists and give a risk score. That is available, right? What I understand from his project is he's using the frameworks and trying to uh, make a check with Apollo tile. That's one aspect to it. But this is specific to Apollo. But minus Apollo, what will you do? There is no data anywhere.
No, sir. It's a common thing only because for all the things, it is a common thing only. Normally for all the plants, it's common thing only. Same standards only we will be using it, and the same services.
These standards are not available. The standards are available, right?
Yeah, standards are available, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. My very simple question is, what will be your contribution to this? Standards are there, applicability to one of the customer that is also planned.
Correct,
You're going to work that for the client.
If I want to additionally if I want to additionally implemented my thing measure, I can the Active Directory last time I told you, no, sir, but it is very difficult without the hardware part. It is very difficult and show it to you, sir. Present it to you. I can give an idea, but the implementation part, it is very difficult, sir, actually to show it to you. In the Active Directory, last time I told, no, sir, the user part, that also I just tried to checked it, but it is very difficult to show it to you, sir.
What is the difficulty? Explain me the difficulty.
No, for example, Active Directory will be having operator will be having separate login IDs. So as of now in the standards, nobody has implemented it. Actually, in standard also it's not available. So we can create each and every user individually for each and every shift, and we can able to monitor each and everything from the Active Directory. Each and every operator can give login.
Where will you monitor this from the tool that you are going to create? Is it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
You're going to create a platform?
No, sir. In the Active Directory, we'll be able to configure it similar way. In the DCS side also, we will be the DCS. There will be having human interface stations, right here. If you see human interface stations, there also we will try to configure.
Your project is to audit an AD and do remediation on the AD. It will not be well accepted by the panelists. I understand you're doing this. This is the need of the hour. Everything fine, but it is only an action or an activity that you're going to perform based on the risk output that you're getting. So my first point is you should have something to do a risk management. You know there are standards. I'm trying to see if you can bring that in some kind of a UA-based approach where you can do a calculation of this risk scoring. Can you bring that risk scoring? A second part of remediation, yes, you do it outside of the platform, do it independently, all accepted, but that cannot be a project. I wouldn't be able to take that as a project.
Sir, remediation part, whatever the configuration things, everything I'm going to do, step by step, I will be able to present it, sir. I can't show it to you, but I can able to take a screenshot. These are the first step we are going to implement it. These are second step like that.
Let me ask Dr. Shinu to respond. So what he's going to do is going to configure it on the AD. There's an AD. There'll be gaps on the AD. He will fix that gaps. As of now, there is no Apollo. Apollo may come, may not come. Right? Steps is going to show. Is that good enough for a project?
I think if you're like even we say, right, ISO or somebody who's putting the same thing, Raghu is also trying to do. What people are doing here is that you have a comparative study, you have some kind of an analysis, or you have combined a framework, set of frameworks. You have to show some kind of a novelty in your approach, right? Which is more efficient, more more cheaper, more user friendly, more easy to score, better scoring.
Correct, ma'am. In security point of view, it will be an added advantage, ma'am, because each and every operator, if he has separate login and separate whatever the operator is doing, the concerned activity, everything will be recorded, ma'am. Actually,
no, everything we understand. You are not somehow we are not able to align to what we want you to do. Somehow you keep on telling the same thing. We understand. Okay, your project. What exactly is your title? Risk assessment, right? The title is still not visible here, and you're talking everything else than the project. You are trying to give a industry solution, which is too large a pie to even bite. What is your project? Is it risk assessment on a combining frameworks, on an OT system, which is again scope is narrowed down to something, or you are saying that I will create a UI based application where
Ma'am, that is Capstone 2, ma'am. First, initially is risk assessment, ma'am. Capstone 1. So Capstone 2 is that UA based, the Active Directory, those things I will show it in the Capstone 2, ma'am, actually.
if you act like an ISO auditor or a this OT auditor, that's not a project, no?
No, does he have an abstract? What is it?
No, ma'am.
He has not written an abstract.
Last time.
Yeah, I think
No, no, I was
Arvind, you are wasting your energy, our energy, etc. Come to the point. With Apollo, without Apollo, what exactly is that you would bring in as a 1 month or 2 months project maximum? You cannot spend more time on it.
Yes, ma'am. First part.
Is it an application? Is it an, is it a UI? Now we are discussing about a UI based approach, or is it, what is the novelty? What is that you are doing?
Scoring criteria, some mechanism.
Yeah.
Excel also.
Yeah. Yes. It could be a new algorithm to score better or some weightage.
Okay.
We don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So please resubmit. That is the same thing. I don't want to write again, but you have to submit and you have to follow our template, because tomorrow we will ask you to write report. We'll ask you to publish. You must have all these big things in the mind, not just get stuck on to same thing repeating again.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And is there any reading you have done?
Ma'am?
There's no, I don't know. Without literature review, please don't come here.
No,
Everyone.
ma'am.
Everyone.
Okay.
Without reading, without sharing what is available in the market. Market, both industry white papers, but ideally a good journal which has published similar. Right?
Okay.
Anyone else? Sudarshan, you want to share your screen from there and present?
Sure.
Okay, you presented, is it? You sent me something?
Yeah, thank you.
Please put it in LMS only, because all these things are difficult for us to manage.
Sure.
Where is it? When did you send? Now, oh, okay. Deva Capstone. Yeah, these are all important branding norms. Because otherwise we will have tough time to make you right. Network Beagle, nice. Name sounds very fancy. But
Just to what we spoke last time.
No, sir. This is something different. I've just checked on the POC part of it, of trying to integrate that reproducible tools with the proprietary tools. Actually, we don't have that much feasibility also. We couldn't do that in Azure or AWS. So
You change the.
yeah, just account with a new topic right now. So instead of spending more time on it.
it's like it's not exactly a title. It is sounds nice, but title has to be reworked.
Yeah, sure. Just for just to grab attention and just want to convey the intention of that. I just
Come down.
So the proposal is all about the network beacon. So the problem idea over here is like the startup and education institutions have some hesitation in coming up or consuming the same kind of tools. So the idea is over like I'm just trying to build up a customized small simplified sim kind of tool which can just proactively act on the network system and alert the management as well, and also like it is low maintenance, and we are going to use all sort of only open source kind of tools.
Don't say who to use not.
Sorry.
Say who uses not.
What is that? How are you building? What is covered? What is the scope? And educational institutions, why they don't want this?
No, basically most of them are looking out for the proprietary tools, so this guy is quite expensive. So I'm gonna try to provide a solution on the open source.
What are the open sources?
So open source like Splunk or Splunk we can use, and then Sim Monster one tool I've just checked, and then
These are all solutions
Alien
already open sources available, right? So how is it going to?
yeah.
What's your project?
So
Yeah, I
the-
understood. Yes, you'll bring that to the
Yeah.
institute like Reva is going to use it. Yeah, it's great.
The second point is like the audience which I'm going to focus is all about like C-level executives. So as of now, the sim tools have been focused only on the technical people who can understand and analyze and then do. So this kind of solution is going to be like across of all the stakeholders. So primary focus is on the C-level executives. So where they can access this kind of sim tools and they can get and they just grab the information.
C-level audience of
Yeah.
the institutes.
Of the institutes or on the organization, anything. So I'm just focusing on the institutions as well as on the startup companies. So the primary hesitation that on the startup companies they do have is like they have to set up some expert team in their company to handle this kind of
So Dr. Shino is an executive here. She runs space. She talks to you. What does she say? Okay, I need a SIM solution. Put together all the open sources and build it for me. I have some sources like firewalls. I have endpoint solutions. I have 365. Pull all those logs, and you're going to put that into open source.
Yeah.
Is that your project?
It's a 1 minute.
Why is this network Beagle?
So Beagle is a kind of a breed dog that I'm just trying to promote because it is very, very sensitive with this sensation as well as with the smell, and then it just acts very smartly. And
What-
it's of
what
low
is your-
maintenance as well. Just why I just termed it as.
What is your?
So this is all about like
this network. It's only internal network.
it's just a small network. I'm just focused only on the very like a small organization network where we can just not with the larger audience.
Senior batch, right? Your batch one, they're developing something called a mobile phone.
Okay.
It's only the perimeter of the house.
Okay.
And they have actually done a very good set of UI and entire thing. But here we are talking about it's network as a word. I think it is limiting the scope only for networks.
So I was primarily focusing on the on a particular set of systems where I can just replicate and show. Because when I'm showing a demo, right, I can just simulate a kind of a virtual network and then try to show them with the logs. That's why I just termed it as network. If you
What
want
is
to,
there? What is SIM there?
so this is one open source sim tool that is just grabbing this firewall logs and as well as the system logs. And the reporting system is going to give us the report of any sort of roles whoever is trying to access them. Sorry.
What is it saying there?
Same anyway, it's there. No. What is it you would do?
I'm gonna collect all these details and provide as a UI front end where any sort of people who wants to.
So are you going to create a UI?
Yeah, I'm gonna create a UI.
There a scope diagram. Okay, your presentation and all looks so fancy, like your name. Beagle looks nice. You should put a Beagle plus logo and all that. Now,
So on the primary sim tool on the behavior, I'm not modifying anything. But at the perspective of how it can be presented for an organization level, that's where the challenge that I could
So
do.
you're going to create a UI?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to give you something. Work on. Give me a.
when is there? Can you give
So we will accept provided you do this. You agree you're going to do a UI, right?
Yes, sir.
UI for inputs, logs, network, doing endpoint also. And email. Endpoint security, network detection, logs anomalies, email malicious content. Your UI should build, you should be able to correlate an incident on every phases of an attack kill chain. So for example, on a network, you have brute force. It should come onto your reconnaissance phase.
Okay.
If email is compromised, it should come on your
Emails.
delivery or the
Yeah.
exploit phase. This is the check.
Stella Cyber has this kind of front end. Can you build
All
it?
technologies you use a snot here, okay. You use Splunk here, okay. Endpoints, you use any XDR solution, EDR solution, okay. Email, you bring O365 or any APT solution, okay. Or some behavior also you pick up with, I'm okay with it. Okay, we don't want. But at the end of it, it should come like this.
So it should categorize and let the user know that.
Because otherwise, you are just going to bring one of these Splunk
no.
dashboard and then you'll show then your project is over.
Sir. I was trying to recreate a DOS attack over here and then show a demo saying that like when a DOS attack has been occurred through Kali Linux inside a network, so how it is going to display in the
okay, then bring it into the regular
into this UI system or a monitoring system where it can alert.
You don't need to make any fancy UI like this. You just say first phase of attack. I've been able to pick it.
Integrate kill chain into your title.
Okay.
With the front end
Right.
will be the.
I made it little more. Otherwise, it becomes a standard.
Yeah, standard point, but
nothing great you will.
The challenge what I have seen here is like the people other than the network engineer or cybersecurity engineer, other people doesn't have that much access towards this kind of thing, and they don't have the other stakeholders doesn't have the awareness like why it has been used and how it has been managed and
used what.
So when this such security tools have been used, how it is going to benefit with the organization and what is happening on those deeper levels, the top management people are not have been getting that much awareness.
Yeah, the top management of Praise, I told you, no, she wants to see this.
See all kinds of.
They want to get
at least
details of it.
We just want to see maybe that last stage or something.
Yeah, last stage only, ma'am.
Is my organization under attack? I'm just seeing it through all the sources that is provided. How it is provided, she will not be interested to see.
No, technical information we are not going to share. But the thing is like it should from the input of what we are getting, it should be in a presentable manner so that at least for the reporting purpose, so and so things has been happened.
This is what you're going to achieve.
Yeah,
right?
this is what we are going to achieve.
So achieve.
That kill chain integration.
And we will get you.
In the kill chain.
Get you.
Can you
complete stage?
Otherwise, your project is going to be half a day project. Today you'll sit and you'll finish up and we'll see and grade you.
You
are not doing good justice to anybody.
No, sir, just take this as a point only, sir.
Phase 1, phase 2, you can go.
You do one thing. You add up with Priyanshi and context that data also into this. So phase 2 of hers is also completed. You also extended.
Phase 1 you can scope it out, but here response module or whatever the decision, what is that? Is there any visibility? What is that you do? Unless something like that comes, it was easy for us to understand.
Yeah, what I was keeping in mind is like I can recreate one attack and then show like how it has been projected to the sea level. But I can improvise it, sir. I just sharing my thought, ma'am. I think like that. I can just.
I don't know why you make it so simple.
No. Sir, it's not like that. To the level of what my understanding was.
Just do a brute force and show and all.
Yeah.
Somebody has to grade you, man. You're a.
I'll definitely do it, sir. I'll definitely do it. No doubt about this. I was not having that idea before.
Look at what the people have done. The entire integration of different things, and then there is a mobile application which actually tells you that this IP to be allowed or this particular URL to be allowed. For a family, it is very good, especially when you have multiple people using the same thing. So
for home network, definitely
it's good.
So they are doing for home network, you're doing for institute. But bring some kind of.
A lot of work is gone inside that. This scope is not. I think is there a way that we can show that I like the way Stella.
Very complex.
I know. Yeah, but have you seen that?
Stella Cyber.
Have you seen?
STLL.
Cyber kill chain. I will put no. Because I saw the. I just wanted to show the image. Something like this, right? It's there available in our SOC. You check with Jordan, he will show you.
Okay.
So it's see, look at this initial. Yeah, you can run this.
In this session, I'm going to talk about the XDR kill chain which is a kill chain fully compatible with the MITRE ATT&CK framework, but extended specifically for XDR. As you can see from
I'll just run, you can.
propagation is where attackers are trying to obtain additional privilege based on the time interval of the past month. Now, I'm checking the initial attempt filter will show that we have 61 out of 155 possible alert types triggered across the entire XDR kill chain.
But some live data is required to build some kind. You cannot just create one sample dose and create, right? That's why you should see if there is a live system. You can use the Reva system. SOC is there, right?
Can you use?
Yes.
On the initial access.
So for the cricket to get it connected with the
This is
Race network, and it's not like great traffic or something, great thing, but some jugaad system is there. That is where all of you come and build, right? Improve that whole process. So currently some 200 systems are connected. Jordan has the complete list. You can check with Rahul or Jordan. So this is possible, may not be this kind of a front end.
Simple UI.
Possible?
I can build a better UI.
Because he has very good skills. He is a very good programmer, I know. But he's
I've not done such a network kind of project before, so that's why I was
What network? What have you not done?
don't know related to this logs and things. So
Log is one kind of a data input.
I understand.
You are a programmer.
Programmer.
That's it. Use this
Okay.
not to get pick from your networks,
okay.
right?
No, I'll
Logs
definitely.
is log as in events. That's all.
Integrated UI, integrated kill chain with whatever. Just change the name and scope of phase 1 and phase 2. One project is you can go deeper, but resubmit because it's
Sure.
not clear.
No, I got the idea.
Yeah.
Just
Okay. And I'm sure there are papers. Kill chain integration is multiple papers are there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else is presenting now, or otherwise we are closing. We cannot go on this way.
So when we are presenting this presentation, so do we need to try with the several kind of attacks and then categorize them over there and explain? That's what the expectation. So
Otherwise, it becomes standard logs, right?
no, I understand. So it should be some kind of details on the high level on the for C-level audience.
So this you cannot have a direct relation to this. In between, you have to have detection engine that you have to build, which is what I saw in your architecture. I just added this piece to it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying. I was checking for one attack. Now we have to categorize and then show them like.
You go stage wise. You start with network, endpoint. Okay. Eventually,
Network and kill chain, can you create the complete flow? Only network and because patterns available here.
Surikata, they will all give you detection, network detection, response is available.
And then email and all is complicated process. I don't think you should put it in the scope. Network and logs and firewall. Is that? Endpoints.
Email, I'll try, but endpoint and logs and these top 3 things I just
Yes.
Why I put email is because there's a lot of attacks to get.
But I'll just give a try.
Leave it, do it later.
What is phase 1 will stop? What will you demo?
Phase 1.
So check with Elson, get the access and see we can bring in and see the flow, whether they are in which stage of kill chain. Is it up? Is it coming in the same?
It won't come in place. What you do is just first to create a UI
Dashboard.
A view of that. What are the inputs and what will be the output?
Okay.
Right? This is your project, right?
Yeah, this is
Then we will add the rest of the pieces.
I mean, like this has to be integrated with the UI, the integration part. So this is already a ready solution is available. For example, like
These are data inputs.
correct.
So detection engine is not here yet. You have to bring a detection. Go back to your presentation. Where was that architecture?
Last
sixth. Go to sixth. Yeah, in this, the attacker is there, firewall is there, and this SIM that you're calling it, right?
Yeah.
That is what correlates your events.
Correct.
But before that, like a firewall gives you an output saying, okay, there is an attack. You can take that. But since you're looking at network, you need to have another detection engine which says that the network traffic is malicious.
Okay.
So each of it, see, this is a detection controlled by itself.
Firewall.
Right? Similarly, if you bring in the others, you have to have a detection mechanism, right?
But that SIM kind of tool will be taking care of such things. So that will be taking both.
SIM does a
firewall
correlation. If you can, yeah, bring a SIM, that's okay. Then you put this all into a SIM.
It's already there, available with Reva.
Hmm.
You have to bring in the last part.
the presentation later. So which SIM tool is available here?
OSM is there, ELK is there, Splunk is there.
Alien Vault is what I think he's using.
Yeah, but they all have this. I don't see a problem.
Even the skill chain also is there.
Then what will you do different? If you're going to use a standard SIM and show everything, then everybody knows, right?
Then I'll just then how can we build this kind of detection? Should we create some logic behind that and then go? Because I thought of coming up with a SIM tool. SIM tool is not the option that we are going to use.
You're going to create a SIM tool. Build a SIM tool.
If somebody is very good in programming and all that, we would request all of you to try building a cyber range scenario. Not SIM. SIM enough solutions are there. Cyber range is the need of the hour, where we can simulate attack, the traffic, and create blue and red team as a. You have seen, right? Cyber.
Yes,
okay, cyber range.
Cyber range.
No, but don't change the topic now, because that's completely different.
If you're going to do this, probably it's very difficult for us to accept it, because it's not standard. You said Splunk. In Splunk, everything is there. You can bring Phantom that gives you soul. It is your project. Configuring it.
Okay, so let's forget about SIM2. So I'm not going to use SIM2. I'm going to take up your idea right now to improve myself. So if the tool is not there, directly we need to analyze and then create one detection module over here, which will just categorize what it has to be. Am I right? So can you just give some insight about this detection module, how it can be built? I mean, like when we talk about a log coming through network traffic, so
log or a network traffic alone. Log by itself does not give you any idea of what incident is, right? You have to have a correlation engine. The logs on let's say on your AD says account locked out, right? Once, twice, three times. It's just log. But if this attempt has happened in less than 1 minute, which means there is an incident.
possibility of
Yeah. So some correlation engine, some detection engine should run to give you this. Okay, so your input can be logs, but your output should be possible attacks.
possibility of finding attacks.
Or it's a possibility, it's still not an attack, right? You could also do you attempted 3-4 times and still it would have been
Correct.
blocked. That may not be an incident. But an attacker doing it could be an incident. This is ideally the first phase, the reconnaissance phase that you call. So you need to find a way to detect this. On the network, also there are patterns, right? And suddenly there's a spike, there's a data exfiltrated, right? So To detect this on the network, you need to have some kind of analysis. And there is to be a detection engine. Use solution like Surikata or not. Right? That will give you output as incidents. I would say use this input and create your UI collaborated. So first stage you get to see reconnaissance, then comes on the network, it gives you the remainder of the phases.
Okay, the 7 phases should be displayed there.
You don't need to have all 7 phases, right? You have to come reconnaissance, delivery to exploit it. We need 3-4 phases.
So, so when such a spike has been raised, it has to intimate to the UI, saying that like this thing has been occurred. Or
so and so phase of
so phase of it, and this engine is going to confirm it. So once this correlation confirms that this value is going to be boolean true, then it's going to.
If this is also complex, remove it. Just do network. I'm giving you an idea because you said you want to build an UI, but UI has to have some kind of a perspective, output, logic.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. You can look at ELK, Kibana, Grafana. These are some things you can use. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Anybody else? Presenting over.
Shinu ma'am, actually, I just missed one thing that in my project that
Shinu is not here.
the pro. I'm sorry, sir.
Shinu is not here. Give it a minute. She'll be back.
Okay.
Just a minute, yeah.
Sandeep sir, this is Srirama here.
Hey, hi, Srinama.
Yeah, actually, I haven't submitted the abstract yet, but can I discuss the idea at least with some reference points? But because I haven't documented it completely in the abstract template, so I just start off discussing the idea with you.
Good.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. Yeah, this is, I thought of taking SQL injection as a scenario and using the machine learning approach and how to detect that particular SQL injection based on the various input queries. So uh, I referred to a couple of papers and I found that this can be done using multiple machine learning algorithms. But before that, we need to have a data and that will be like trained and tested using a parser and the feature extraction. So feature extraction is the important thing because SQL queries can be mutated differently to bypass the logic, but feature extraction should be able to detect the input as the machine learning algorithm. Based on that, it will be supervised by machine learning. So it will classify whether the particular input is a malicious or not. So I thought of implementing it, and also I thought of making it as an API so that it will be an independent machine learning engine kind of a thing, which can be used to validate the SQL injections. So that's the high level thought which I had. So
where will you take the input from?
Input will be the actually for the more a machine learning algorithm. I can take the existing SQL queries which are.
Hello. We lost you. Srirama.
SQL query or not.
No, we lost you.
Like
Listen, we lost you. Can you repeat?
you
Shino
can
is also here.
use this API to understand whether there's still an SQL injection is there or not.
Sriram, can you hear us?
Yeah, madam.
Okay, I think we lost you. Just come back again.
Can you restart?
Yeah. I think there's some network issue at my end. Sorry for that. But yeah, I'll start. So for this particular project, I took SQL injection as a scenario and detection of that using the machine learning algorithms. So initial data will be the SQL queries, which are malicious, as well as the uh, valid input SQL queries, and that will be parsed and feature extraction will be done, and that will be fed to the machine learning algorithm to get the high accuracy report. So it will display whether that particular SQL injection is there or not based on the existing data set, and that will be like exposed as an API, so that it can be used before hitting the database. Like we will include all the SQL injection prevention methods, but still it can be a final check based on the machine learning to see whether the malicious SQL query is there or not. That's what I thought.
Can you go back with the premise? Is it the topic is what?
Topic is detection of SQL injection using machine learning algorithms.
These
And
papers are already there, right? What is
yeah,
that you do?
yeah, I am going to implement the various machine learning methods and see the accuracy, and that should give the whether that query is malicious or not.
Yeah, I know this paper already has 99% accuracy. I have not read the paper, but it's already no, because all the
Yeah,
SQL injection detector,
they have given
it's already.
the yes, ma'am. So they have given the algorithm details and all, but there is no implementation details. Probably, yeah. That's where I thought like getting the
It's
actual
already there,
SQL
right? It's
queries.
already, it's already there.
Damn solutions are there, right?
It's already there. Can you
Yeah,
just share this paper in the chat?
yeah,
What
I
is
can.
this? What is this? This is your model, no? You are
No,
proposing.
I haven't put the details
Okay,
in my model.
okay,
These
okay.
are all two input modules. I have taken it from the IEEE.
So papers are ready. Now you have to propose what is the novelty that you are bringing in. Are you combining these two papers and building a better detector and better UI? That you have to.
Yeah, like first thing is to achieve the high accuracy detection. Based on that, I can build the API and the yeah, UI also to detect the SQL injection. So that's what I thought.
It's already there, no? So the question immediately would come in is that what exactly, what is the gap you find? Can you go to the conclusion part of this paper? They would have written, what is the future work on this project, right? See, look at to enhance the system, more non-injected SQL statements need to be considered in the dataset, and more features need to be studied, and experimentation can be done for future. That sentence, right? If you want to
Yeah,
build on that, it is allowed. Otherwise, just replicating a paper is good learning, but can there will be a problem of viva, right?
okay. Like to
You
enhance
this
it,
paper, if you write to this paper's authors, they will give you the data used, they will give you the UI part of it. All that is available already. Code
okay,
also they will give you.
okay.
So
Yeah,
what
and
what
then
next? What next? You can add more features into this. You can add a better setup because they have done SVM, multiple discriminant models, ensemble models. They have used everything. Can you go back
yeah,
to that modeling part of it? Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, this table 2, right?
yeah.
They have
They
they
have
have used some of the advanced ML models also. So there is good results already.
okay.
So while we appreciate that you have to learn, this could be a great steep learning curve for you to learn, but your project by panel will not appreciate unless you bring in some novelty into this system. If you replicate it, that is not considered.
Okay.
But it's a good problem statement and area of work. But your project is still not clear,
Yeah,
right?
ma'am. So yeah.
Okay, so work around and submit the proposal today. Don't so you may add that part, that conclusion part. The last sentence is there, right?
Yeah.
That the my proposal is to enhance the current model with new features. Now, what kind of new features are available? We don't know. That you can say that if they have taken only that SQL injection part as the data, you have to check what is the data, what are the features. I will add more features. That I think is a good proposal.
Okay. Sure, I'll work on it.
Yeah, and can you see the references here? You may say, for example, a novel approach to detect SQL injection in web applications. You must read that paper. It's 2013. Can you imagine the amount of time that which would have gone already in no in by 2022? What all would have developed around it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sure.
spend more time in reading, not just on Saturday, not when you come here. You have to read and then build a solution. Okay, so we'll take a
Sure.
small break. We have, but we cannot go on with this. Next
Okay.
week, all of us will be completely occupied in Vivas. Finally, our Vivas are going on, so we will not be available. So today is the only day. Okay. So thanks everyone.
Ma'am,
Today,
just for 5 minutes.
yes.
Ma'am, the project which I had shared, so I missed to say that I mean, I want to do that project basically in the two phase. In the phase one, caption one, it will be the completely the data classification, and in the phase two, it will be the tool development.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, this was I missed actually.
Okay. Have you written that? You can add that.
Sure, ma'am, I will add and re-upload that file.
Okay. But you can go ahead. No, we will once all the approved people will immediately start giving the mentors, etc.
Thank you so much.
Others have to work because we will start second year programs, then we will not get time again. This is the only time. This month is the time that you should at least do 70-80% of the projects. Okay. So don't give up.
Shinu and Priyanshi here. Just a few things I wanted to check. If Sandeep sir is there, I think that would be helpful as well. So I was just working on, updating the presentation. So if I look at divide the thing into two phases as we discussed, if in the first phase I would look at the automated solution giving the IOC analysis and the IOC targeted would be URLs in domain and it would pull in the real-time data. And in phase two, if I integrate it with other tools, say for network logs, kind of a thing for IPs, domains using AI ML, would that be okay? Or there's something else that I've missed on the expectation part?
So I think automated tool, once you create your phase one and it is an actively collecting data, that's a great step to build a AI solution, right? Because you will have to be collected the data by them.
Right, right.
So only thing I think Sandeep was mentioning that it should sit in somewhere, some sim tools or somewhere, that your project has to be easy to access to the SOC uh, consultant, and you can say that it is implemented in my company. 10 analysts are using and they are able to reduce their SLA time. Then you will get a
Yes.
lot of brownie points.
Yeah, for this automated solution, as of now, I was looking at just hosting it like other, like VirusTotal and everything, just like another open source for pulling out data from the other open sources, basically just like a one place. And then in phase two, I would use all the data that probably I'll store in a database kind of a thing to build upon using another network logs and things like that for phase two using AI.
Sounds good, Priyanshi.
Yeah, so should I just resubmit it right now because I've put that phase 1, phase 2 difference in the slide and added the references. I actually forgot to add it in the PPT. I had everything, all the generals and everything with me. So
Because
should I just?
when we are sending it to a mentor,
Mhm.
mentor must have the latest.
Yeah,
Again, you
I'll
will
just
keep changing the scope, right? So
yeah.
whatever is the latest, you submit. If you want a resubmission link to be opened, let me know. We
Yeah,
will be.
I've already updated the PPT with phase 1, phase 2, this and added the references. So I can submit it right away if there are no more changes needed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You can submit.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll just.
It's not
Ma'am, so
visible here.
do I also have to re-upload the file or is it good?
The latest file must be there in the LMS. Latest file must be there in the LMS, right?
So I'm not getting resubmission option.
Okay.
I'm missing it. It's
Okay. I
already
think yours
approved.
is, so I would add it as resubmission and now you can. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, this is Arvind, ma'am. Ma'am, so next, as per you told, I will just minimize the thing and then risk assessment part, whatever is there, those things I will try to put it up and again present it.
There is no presentation time. We cannot go on like this, Arvind. This is the format. Everybody knows, right? This is the format, and this is the PPT. There is already a templatized PPT, right? Which
Yes,
has
ma'am.
only
Yes,
few
ma'am.
things. Few things.
Yes,
Your
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
background, problem statement, proposed solution, and how the solution would look like. Nothing else.
Okay.
Everything
Okay,
else
ma'am.
you can put in annexure and put some links. What is OT
Okay.
security, all that. If you have created a PPT, you can link it to that. That
Okay.
annexure
Okay,
will
ma'am.
give you more and link it in some Office 365 or OneDrive or somewhere. We will, if somebody wants to check, they'll check.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. So, Karthik, just be online in terms of any support is required. And everyone, whoever is here, please resubmit the latest into the LMS. If an assignment has to be reopened, you can do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.